Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Stephanie White loses another game for the Indiana Fever. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate all of your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. Let's talk about this game. First, I have to say, I had zero expectations that they were going to win this game. So, in that respect, it is what it is. It was a close game. However, because of how they started, because of how they played the entire first half, and still, despite blowing a 12-point lead, and look, basketball's a game of runs. It's not likely they were going to sustain that type of shooting they had early on, especially from three. But they did have a 2-point lead at halftime, and then the third quarter was an absolute disaster. And it has been like that all season long, which is why I started out with Stephanie White loses another game. I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've experienced it more, I have to tell you, in soccer, just because of the low scoring nature of the game and how it is more a game than any other, I think, where you can absolutely dominate or get dominated, but the result is different than that. You know, you can dominate a game and lose 1-0 because you just can't put the ball in the back of the net, and your team, the other team, gets one opportunity and they score. And what I'm getting at is this is one of those games where, yes, we expected it to be a loss, but now it feels more like it's a win we should have had. You know what I mean? It hurts a little more, let me put it that way, because of the way they played, at least for the first half. And you thought, you know what? There's no fee out there. They're playing well, they're shooting well. And then we had a Stephanie White third quarter. So a couple of things getting going in this. First, I want to say Chloe Bibby didn't play. She was a very, very late scratch. She apparently was feeling some knee pain, I believe, in warm-ups. And apparently it has been something she's been feeling for a number of days now. Yet I think, was it the day of the game yesterday or the day before? Sometimes they run together. She was out at the driving range. I tell you what, if you've got a knee bothering you, you're not out hitting golf balls at the driving range. So that's another thing that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Either there's a little lie in there about the report on her injury, or who the heck is letting her go out to the driving range if they know she has a knee that's been bothering her? And why is she making that decision as well? This has been such a bizarre season for this team in so many ways. And then Odyssey Sims tweaked. We still don't know what. I haven't gone through all the press conference yet. So maybe there was a follow up this morning, but at least as of last night, we don't know what it was, but that she tweaked something in the fourth quarter and did not come back. So that could be no big deal, or we could worry. On that note, I haven't gotten a chance to do a video. I'm not sure if I'll get to it or not, but just seeing they signed Aerial Power, something I've been telling them to do since last year. But anyway, they did sign Aerial Power, so hopefully she's been keeping up from videos I've seen of her. She seems like she has. And then, of course, before we get even further, we're going to give a shout out to Lexie freaking Hull, White Nubian Queen Jr. Had an insane game last night, career high, played 38 minutes, shot 9 of 16, 4 of 7 from the field, grabbed 4 rebounds, had a couple assists, a couple of steals, only 1 turnover, and of course, played defense the way she always plays defense. And that was despite the fact that Stephanie White never runs any plays for Lexie Hull. She had 11, what was it, 11 of their first 15, I think? And then she went a stretch where it's like she didn't even get the ball, didn't even take a shot. They didn't run anything for her. I'm like, you've got her lighting it up early, and you don't run a single play for her. That is bad coaching, folks. That is bad coaching. I guarantee you she'd be running something for Kelsey Mitchell or Natasha Howard in that situation. Kelsey Mitchell also she did play well. 9 of 20, 5 of 7 for 3. Although she was a minus 13, that's where it gets anyway. But she had 27. But I think this is a few times now. I've seen Kelsey Mitchell. I get you're a shooting guard, but you got to grab some rebounds. This is a style of game now where guards should be getting more rebounds. And the reason I say that is because now it doesn't always happen, but in general, the further the shot out, the longer the rebound. right? So when you've got a league now where there's a lot of three-pointers being shot, long rebounds are happening. That's why three-point shooting teams in general, not always, but at least they have more. I won't say they get more offensive rebounds, but they have more opportunities because as the bigs in there, you can be boxing out in your normal place and boxing out well, but the ball's hitting the back of that rim and it's flying out to the foul line and so forth. So Kelsey Mitchell needs to be grabbing some boards. We can't have these games with zero boards, Kelsey. Come on. I know that's not her thing. I don't mean to sound overly critical, but they got out rebounded 30 to 23. Rebounds, yes, they are actually important. So for the Angel Reese fans, yes, they are important. I think double doubles for a power forward or center are overrated. They should get them every game. But yeah, you do need to rebound the ball to a degree for sure. Aaliyah Boston has had an odd game. She was 7 and 9, can't knock that, but only 6 rebounds. And it never really felt like she was in the game. Like they didn't run anything for her. By the way, where's the pick and roll been since Caitlin Clark is out? If you want to look at another thing of what she brings to the game that is so important, Aaliyah Boston, say whatever you want about her in a positive way. She is double the player when Caitlin Clark is out there with her. Now, part of that, I think, again, it goes back to White as a coach. My whole thing with White as a coach is not just the Caitlin Clark stuff. In general, I think she is a bad coach. And I think with Aaliyah Boston, I think you see a little of that because, and talking with other people, they've been asking me about this and wondering, so what? We're not running anything for Aaliyah Boston in the paint. We're making her play out on the perimeter because we're given, or Stephanie White is giving Natasha Howard that space inside, and we're playing through Natasha Howard in the paint and letting her take over. It's absolutely wild at this point, Natasha Howard, aside from the Caitlin Clark stuff, has yet to fit in with this team, has yet to fit in with this offense, even though Stephanie White favors Natasha Howard. How wild is that? Yes, she has had some big nights, absolutely. But overall, it seems like she's been a net negative for this team because not only in terms of her performance, but I think Natasha Howard on the court has a negative impact on what Aaliyah Boston is capable of doing. And Stephanie White favors Natasha Howard in the paint over Aaliyah Boston. And I'm starting to wonder if that whole thing about her being playing out top and being this hub and all that is sort of an excuse because White wants Natasha Howard to be the one that shines in the paint. The Indiana Fever coaching staff, I'm looking at you, Stephanie White, has not done a good job of getting our bigs involved in games. That is a failure by the coaching staff. That is a failure for this season. Aaliyah Boston and Natasha Howard don't seem to play well together. They never seem to be on the same page. It is not good. And I really think part of the reason White has Aaliyah Boston out away from the basket and on the 3-point line is so Natasha Howard can be the go-to player in the paint. That's great. It gives space for Natasha Howard, but Aaliyah Boston is much better inside than Natasha Howard is. She's much less effective on the perimeter, even though she's a good passer. Now, if we were running the pick and roll with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, then Aaliyah Boston is much, much more effective away from the basket. However, keep in mind the effective pick and roll gets the ball to Aaliyah Boston either going to the basket, so she's going to be shooting from close, right? Now she's got a head of steam up. I don't want to step in front of her as a defender if she's coming down the lane hard. Do you? Or she's getting closer into the basket. She's pinning her defender, and then Caitlin Clark's getting her the ball. But we're not doing that because Caitlin Clark's not out there, and we're not running a pick and roll with Aaliyah Boston. And we had this. Oh, by the way, I also have to shout out Shey Petty in her 22 minutes. She hit 3 of 4, 3 of 4. They were all 3-pointers, 3 of 4 from three for 10 points, 4 assists. So she played well in her debut without a doubt. But we also were doing stuff like this. Yes, this is correct. Jess Shepard, first career triple double, fastest player in WNBA history to record a triple double, doing it against the Indiana Fever. Only took 22 minutes. First player in WNBA history to record a triple double on 90 plus field goal percent shooting. Oh my goodness. If I was Dallas, I think I'd trade Paige Beckers for this lady. only the third player in WNBA history to record 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and zero turnovers in a game, joining Alyssa Thomas and Sabrina Ionescu. So this might be, sorry, Caitlin Clark, this might overall might be like the best. If you had to pick a best triple double, this might be it when you combine all of those things. So I got to shout out Jess Shepard because that is pretty impressive, folks. It really is. But yeah, man, I this and another thing I want to say about Stephanie White, and I am going to tie this one to Caitlin Clark because it's poor coaching. Because we all, you saw that video I talked about. Caitlin said how she threw a pass and White yanked her out of the game, and talked about not throwing that and not taking risks and all, which is absolutely absurd. You're never going to win a championship that way, regardless of it being Caitlin Clark. But she can, so that's why I say she can wrongly yank Caitlin Clark for something that's stupid. And yet, have any of you seen, and I know we don't absolutely know for sure, but you can kind of watch games and get an idea on if a player is yanked for a mistake and having a conversation with the coach. I have not seen that with Natasha Howard. I have not seen that with Kelsey Mitchell. As great a season as Kelsey Mitchell's having, and she is, I think we all can agree that this season, a lot more than last season, Kelsey Mitchell has reverted back to the negative aspect of Kelsey Mitchell's game, where she gets her head down, she starts dribbling in a circle, and all she's thinking about is buckets. And Stephanie White has done nothing to help that. She's done nothing to fix the situation with Natasha Howard not fitting into this offense, and Natasha Howard at times thinking she's going to dribble the ball coast to coast. She is not that type of player. Uh, but yeah, but look, again, it's overall 5-point loss to the Lynx with the conditions that the Fever faced. You can't yell at that. But then when you actually watch the game and you're looking at the fact that they were up 52-50 at halftime, and then they get outscored 32. Let me just go back real quick. I think it's 32-17. 32-17 in the third. That was the ball game, folks. That was the ball game right there. Now, to that point, I want to wrap this up now that I've spent a lot of time criticizing Stephanie White. Yeah, check this out. They got the Lynx again. Stop giving me that stupid thing. They got the Lynx again tomorrow. The Fever are sitting at sixth, 19 and 17. Look at number nine, the Sparks, 17 and 18 now. They are only a game and a half behind Indiana. They have a game in hand, which means the Sparks have the extra game to play so they can help themselves. So if they were to say to win that extra game, now they're only a game behind Indiana. And they hold the tiebreak against the Indiana Fever, and they play each other head to head one more time. So you got to hope there's some things in here where people take each other out. Uh, Now, I think we're starting to gain enough room from the Mystics. It looks like we're getting to the point where it's going to be 9 teams vying for 8 spots. And from that 6 to 9 spot, it is jam packed, folks. There's a game and a half between the 6 through 9 spot. So scheduling is going to matter. The Fever have the Lynx again on Sunday. Now, the Aces, who might as well have the Aces, none of the Saturday, no, we might as well, none of the Saturday games really mean anything. You got Connecticut and Chicago playing, but you might as well have the Aces beat the Mystics, kind of get the Mystics out of the way for sure that they can't creep into this. But then we've got Sunday, the Storm and the Mystics. So see, now you I think you might kind of want the Mystics to win that game, but Golden State's probably going to beat Dallas. That's going to move them up to 19 and 7 and 19 and 18. And then you got the Fever playing the Lynx. They could end up being 19 and 18. After the weekend, we could have Golden State and Indiana both at 19 and 18. And the Valkyries would have the tiebreak, I believe, against the Indiana Fever. So, and then Seattle could be 20 and 18. They'd be ahead, or they could also be 19 and 19. You could have Indiana, Seattle, and Golden State at 19 and 19, and then the Sparks don't play again until Tuesday, I believe. Now they do have a tough game. They play the Phoenix Mercury, and then of course the Fever play the Seattle Storm. So things are you got to say this: if you're hanging in because of Caitlin Clark and you want to see the Fever make the playoffs, you can't purely from an actual basketball standpoint for once. You can't ask for more drama than you're getting right here into the home stretch. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you thought about the game, what you thought about Stephanie White. Of course, you got to shout out Lexie Hull as well. Do you think also that the Fever are going to make the playoffs? They've got the Lynx twice more, but they also have the Sky in there, I believe. And then they've got some teams that are right there in the mix with them. So they control their own fate for sure. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. Appreciate you checking out this video as always. Do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate it. It does really, truly matter. Go have the day you deserve. I will talk to you later.